So our first news is our instant reaction of the Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko fight this weekend on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. We were there live. We were watching it live in person. We saw the entire undercard. I will first toss it to you, Isaiah, because there's been controversy about this fight's outcome.
So first and foremost, we're just gonna put that right out of the way. I'm a very huge Lomachenko fan. For as long as Mark and I have been friends, he's known this. He's actually the reason, or one of them, why I started to get into boxing is because I came across, some of his highlights on YouTube, and I didn't quite know much about the fight game. Like my immediate instances were like watching Pacquiao with the family, or watching Rampage like a long time ago with my dad, and I didn't really think anything of it up until I started seeing people like Conor McGregor, and I started seeing people like Lomachenko, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and like with the first thing that I did when I got into the boxing gym for college was I tried to fight southpaw, thinking like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be just like Lomachenko. I'm actually right-handed, but I can fight southpaw. It's gonna throw so many people off, and my power hand is my jab hand. And dude, that did not work out well at all. The coaches thought I was retarded.
I
And
remember that.
it was such a bad time because that dude fighting your opposite hand is so hard to pull off. It takes years and years and years of practice for the everyday person to fight on a switch stance, or for from the opposite stance, because your balance is different, your perception of sight is different, and so on and so forth. But I just wanted to say that yeah, I'm a huge Lomachenko fan, but my reaction for the fight comes in two phases, right? So the first one is uh the live portion. Me and Mark, as Mark said, we were there, and my God, it's not as expensive as it was. Like you cannot put a price tag on that. Just being able to hear um to hear the Matrix song come in, and like the mist come in, and the green and the black and the song, and then just see Loma coming in. Oh my God, I was like, Lamarck would tell you, I was fangirling out there. I was like, oh. I was holding on to him for dear life because I was like, oh my God, that is the first celebrity that I've ever wanted to see right in front of me,
Mhm.
and that is not something money can buy. It's just being there, being to hear that was amazing. And I was after the fight, right? I was like, um, I was like, no, there's no way, like that was a robbery. What's going on with this? What's going on with that? And now I'm finding out that there is, but that's not the point. The point is that like I had these rose glasses on while I was there, especially from the crowd, the bias from the crowd, the bias from myself, the bias from
Oh
the
yeah.
singular angle that we were at. Like every time, every time that uh Lomachenko threw a shot, the crowd was cheering. I was cheering because like from our perspective, it's like yeah, 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 yeah. That's what we want. That's what he's landing. And then but whatever like Haney would throw, it just kind of went underwhelmed. But that's just the bias of the crowd, right? That's not something that should be, as an analyzer, that shouldn't be part of what sways your decision. So I was like that for like the whole day. I was like, oh, there's no way. There's this and that and this and that. Like uh uh Loma had so much pressure in comparison to Haney, right? And then that's because like you had these rose-colored like fan glasses on. So take that away. It's like a day later. You've gone through the 7 stages of grief. I've gone through like the 8 stages of grief. The last being one is crying. I feel like that should be like number eight.
This guy.
But um, so when I had the time today, I took a second look at that fight, as a lot of other people did online from what I was reading on the comments. some people like Timothy Bradley, for example, same boat as me. And I in my line of work, I have clickers. I actually just borrowed a couple clickers, and I went through each round, um, just focused on quality punches, right? On the score. I wanted to see if what I saw from copybox, and what I saw from YouTube, what people are saying, what I'm seeing from articles, and what people are saying. Um, I wanted to see if it was true. So I watched the fight, and I went round after round. Left clicker was blue was for Loma. Right clicker was red for Haney. And then I went through it, and the final score that I had. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up first is in spite of all of that, the it went first round was Loma. I had Loma winning based off of a singular combination that was thrown towards the end, because the rest of it was just feeling out. So if it was just a round based on activity and based on hits that were landed, I give that to Loma. Then number two, it went to Haney. Number three, it went to Haney. Number four, it went to Haney. So he had a really good string from around two to four, where he was much more successful with the much more successful with his game plan. Which, by the way, they're both of their game plans was one of the only answers that you could have had for each other, and they both played it to a T. That's why this fight was so hard for people to digest, is because there's these rounds where it was just so there was every time Loma would land a combo, Haney would automatically start going for the body in the instance that it happens. So when you score the exchange, it's really hard. In fact, if you do it on like a on an on-site basis, if I'm a judge, I'm thinking, oh, that exchange wasn't very good. No one really made points there. So every time Loma would score, Haney would score. So thus bringing the score back to zero, and you have to find something else. And he does that. He did that so well. Every time Loma hit something, Haney would fire back, and then every time Haney would fire back, Loma would try to aim for the head, and he did so right after he figured out what Haney was doing. So they did this back and forth thing, and it was such a high level. It's one of the highest level fights I think I've ever seen. It was that close. So anyway, two, three, four went to Haney, five went to Loma, six went to Haney, seven and eight went to Loma, nine went to Haney, and then 10, 11, and 12 I gave to Loma. 10 especially, and we'll talk, and then Mark and I can talk about that later. But 10, 11, 12 for me, it went to Loma. So I had it 7-5 for Loma. However, I want to put this. However, I'm not the only person with a 7-5. Very many other people came with a 7-5 for Haney. Very many people went to the 7-5 for Loma. It just really depended on the comment that you saw, but you on a equal basis, both of them had either 7-5 for Loma, 7-5 for Haney. So what that's telling me, it's that it was extremely close. And even actually some of these rounds, I had such a hard time choosing one. Like usually when it was close, I gave it to Haney anyways, because I felt like his body shots were more effective within that round. So I gave it to Haney. But like this 7-5 score could have gone either way. It could have gone to Loma. If you said Haney, I would have 100% agreed with you too, because it was so hard to call that fight, because they kept doing this very smart tactic of, if it's like actually they do this in amateur too. My coach says it all the time. If someone fires back at you, you have to answer. You cannot let it go unanswered. And they both did that for 12 rounds. It was so hard um to to call, unless it was like a really big round. Because and then after that, I I had to like really understand what was the, like, if I was like smoking dick or something, you know what I mean? Like if what I saw that night was was correct in accordance with what I just watched in the second time that I watched the fight. And so I went to CompuBox, right? Like Mark showed me the CompuBox stats for their punch stats. Uh the night of the fight after the event happened. And I started looking at the punch stats. And the punch stats, it's even there, it's so hard to describe because if you look at the boxing rules, you can go on DAZN.com, they have a good explanation, but um there's more to it than just the CompuBox and the CompuBox. It shows the total punches landed, the amount of power punches landed, and the accuracy, right? Based on the final. And the CompuBox just tells me that that's just their respective styles. Loma threw more, landed more, right? If you look at the CompuBox, Lomachenko has a higher volume of punches and a higher number of punches landed. But Haney has a higher accuracy of punches. So then how do you score that? Is it that you score based on how many clean punches landed, or is it the effectiveness of it? Well, it's not either or. It's actually a little bit of both. But for it to be that close on the CompuBox just means that it's the respective styles. Loma has to use combinations. He does not win on power. He does not win on range. So he has to go through combination, and Haney has to be extremely accurate. He cannot miss, right? So he's going to have to pick his shots, and he did. He picked his shots very, very well, especially to the body, and especially when Aloma was in range. And that's just their respective styles. So of course you're gonna have a higher percentage for Haney, and of course you're gonna have a higher volume and touch rate for Loma. So the CompuBox for me, it didn't really tell me anything, and so the and even more so the rules of boxing state that it also has to do with aggression. It also has to do with meaningful quality punches, right? And so if you look at those, you can make an equal case for Loma with when like either two or three out of the five punch combination he threw, or whether you count Haney's body shots, which are also very accurate, right? So it's just a matter of preference, and it's so close. I think the better score overall should have been a tie. Um, it like just for it to be that close, it's you can't really say that Loma won, or officially he did, obviously from the judges scorecard. But if you're like looking at other people who've seen the fight, they'll make even people who have seen it without being there and without the crowd, they will say that Loma won, or like they'll say that Haney won. It's so close that I believe that they'd have to run it back. I don't care if Loma loses the second time, they just need to run it back. That thing was really, really close and really hard to judge. I think the score with Nico Ali Walsh should have been like switched with the Loma Haney fight or something of that sort. Um and that's my answer to this. It's just that I feel like it was so close. Although, rose glasses aside, Haney did officially win. You guys, like all the Loma fans, me included, you just have to understand that according to official happenstance and history, Haney was the better man that night by the judges plural, the judges arguments, and that's something that you just have to respect. That's something that you have to move on. So we don't know what's next for Loma. He could maybe Mark is gonna probably talk about it later, but it's time is not on Loma's side. He's 34. He's coming up to 35. Once you hit 35, your testosterone's lowers no matter what you do. And Haney, if you think about it, this kid is talented, by the way. He's at Loma's level at 24. You guys have to understand that. Loma is 34, right? And Haney is only 24. He's my age and he's doing things like this on Loma's level. You have to respect that. There are other fighters out there who I would think could beat him, but you have to respect how dangerous he is with 24 with the performance that he did. Yes, he was the bigger man. Yes, he was longer. Yes, he was lankier. Yes, you can see those are all factors too. But to be at the level of Camposos, to be at the level of Lomachenko, who are all older than him, you gotta respect Haney. So that's all I'm going to say. So go ahead and give us your take, Mr. Mark.
Uh, I'm rubbing my hands.
Oh, he's rubbing his hands.
Let me say this, right? I came to the fight as objective as possible, right? Even though I had Haney winning and predicted that Haney would win by UD. I am still a Lomachenko fan. Like I've rooted for Lomachenko when he faced Teofimo Lopez. Mm-hmm. That one was a very close fight. Even though, a lot of people want to point at this fight as a robbery. The Teofimo versus Loma fight was also very close. Teo was winning 6 rounds up until Loma applied the pressure and he won the next 5. And Teo won the last 12 on the 12th round. One of the judges in that fight scored it 119 to, I believe it was, let me just double check this one. Yeah, right here. One judge had it 119 to 109, meaning Teo won 11 rounds and Loma only won 1. This fight was very close. The one scorecard I do have a very big issue for would be the 116 scorecard to 112. I'm fine with the 115 to 113, 7 rounds to 5 for Haney. Mm-hmm. Because again, those were very close swing rounds, depending on your style, depending on what you like, depending on, what you see from the angle that the judges was watching it. You could score that round for Haney, or you could score that round for Loma. But considering that the entire arena, besides a small section of the arena, where we were sitting, we're all like hardcore Loma fans. Like Loma fans were just screaming Loma all night. And the small little section that we were seated at, there was a gentleman right behind us would be screaming Haney the whole time. I respect it. I respect that. I was like, I felt safe for screaming Haney too. I guess if we were at any point in a different part of the arena, I would not be yelling Haney.
Right? You just play for the guy in the back. I'm just saying what he's saying.
Yeah. I'll be like, hey, I'm a part of this, right? But in tandem to that, right? I rewatched the fight from the perspective of ESPN and the broadcast, right? Because a lot of people from home are like, yo, Loma won. So I rewatched it. I watched it twice. One, I watched it with the commentary on. And Timothy Bradley, every time Loma was throwing combos, would be like, yeah, Loma, look at that. Look at them combos. Look at that. Once in a while, Andre Ward would sprinkle a little objectivity and be like, wow, great body shot from Haney. But a majority of the time, it was pretty quiet. But rewatching it without the commentary, I'm still pretty confident in my own decision that it was a very close 7-5 for Haney. Depending on activity, accuracy, how he negated some of the pressure that Lomachenko was applying. In addition, very close swing rounds, I'll be honest. Judges are going to give that to the champ. Mm-hmm. Haney's the undisputed champ. Those very close rounds, judges will nod to the champion rather than the opponent. the opponent has to definitively stomp that round as a clear and cut win. Which leads us to the next point, which is round 10. And I want to be very honest. Round 10, I looked at Isaiah. I was like, that's a Loma round. I didn't have anything to counter about all those combinations were misses.
Dude, there was a lot.
Round 10 was a definitive straight stamp. I can't even try to argue for it. Loma round. I don't know what Dave Moretti, the other judge that had it for Haney, I don't know where he was seated, right? Because I saw two of the judges from where we were seated. I don't know where the third was. So from wherever his perspective is, he might have seen it differently. But damn, from where we were at, I clearly saw Loma win that 10th round. 10, 11, and 12. 12 could be arguable, but
yeah, that was a little closer.
9, 10, 11 for me on my scorecard, I had it for Lomachenko. But 12 was very arguable. Again, that's a swing round. Wherever you want to swing it to, could be Haney, could be Loma. And what I didn't like was at the end of the fight, the post fight press conference, Loma said he took off the gas in the 12th round. To me,
Why?
That's an indictment of his perspective and his own mindset going into that final round. I told Isaiah into the 12th, I'm like, Loma has to win this to make it like arguable and definitive that he won the fight. Because I don't like leaving it to interpretation of fans or even up to the hands of the judges. I was like, Loma got to go like hard in the 12th round to be like, yeah, it would be a Loma round. But we were watching it the last few minutes of that round. Haney was landing combos, stuffing Loma's attacks by pushing up on him and trying to tie up. But again, Timothy Bradley, who was a commentator on ESPN, was saying it was a robbery at the night, as well as, saying that Loma deserved the win. Rewatched it the day after. And he was interviewed on Fight Hype. And he said, after rewatching it, it was a very close fight. He's like, I would have been happy with two of these decisions, either a draw or a win for Haney. He had it at the end of the fight, 7-5 for Haney. And he said it's a very close fight. And I think we've said this on this channel, but close fights aren't robberies. It could have gone either or, depending on where you were seated in the arena or depending on what style you like, right? What I do want to say is I disagree with people saying it was a wash, saying that from either side, saying it's a wash from Haney or it's a wash from Loma. Those are the people that I must say, and I must agree with Tim Bradley on this. He said to those people who believe it was a wash, those people need to stop watching boxing, because those are the people who ruin the perspective and the overall integrity of this. Because it was very close. You can't. Even though I was rooting for Haney, I don't see it as a wash. It was close, and he etched out a win based on some of those swing rounds that went to him because he was the champ, right? But I believe that they should run it back. However, this is where we're going to get into this part of the topic. I don't think they will. Think they will? One reason being Haney is definitely struggling to get down to this weight. If you looked at him during the Kambosos weigh-in, he looked so drained. This weigh-in was done in private. From rumors and from what people say in the media, Haney looked like a skeleton going into that weigh-in. You can put like boiled eggs in his eyes. That's how sunken his face looks after draining himself to get down to this weight. Haney's a big guy. He's a big guy based on like his weight class and his height and size. And I don't think for his own health, he should stay at this weight. Granted, I want a rematch. I want Haney to fight Shakur. I want Haney to fight some of these other people. But for his own health and whatever he and his team decides, I think the best would be for him to move up to 140. But that's, again, to be announced. Nothing's been official, but me personally, from seeing and hearing about those rumors and seeing him from the Kambosos fight, I would suggest him moving up to 140. That's how I would see it, and I think that would give an opportunity for Loma to collect the belts again and possibly become undisputed champ. But I don't know, right? Again, this fight was close. I'm not going to scream out a robbery, right? Because it's a close fight. However, I'm going to say that one judge, Dave Moretti, that round 10, boy, you gotta explain that to me. I need an explanation, a personal explanation on what that round 10 and how he saw it and where he was seated. Because from our seat, we saw the ESPN commentary team on one side. We saw one of the judges and we saw another judge, but we didn't see the other side of the ring. We saw 75% of the ring from where we were seated. We had a very good viewpoint of the ring. We saw both corners from where we were. And from that 10th round, it was very definitive that Lomachenko won that round. But outside of that, I had it for Haney 7-5. Yeah, Isaiah had it for Lomachenko 7-5.
Yeah, it's based on a couple of swing rounds. Like, it depends on whether you consider ring activity and combinations over well-placed shots and backstepping to well-placed shots. It's personal preference, but yeah, 7-5.
But I'll be honest, if they do run it back, right, and they do a rematch, I think Devin's definitely gonna definitively win that one.
Yeah, I would, me as a Loma fan, I would still root for Loma, but him, the most likely time that they're going to run this back has to be either next year or the year after that, because he's not gonna get any younger, and he's just gonna look a little bit slower. So
yeah, but
yeah,
let's just put it out there for Devin to be as good as he is at his young age. It's very scary to see how he'll be when he reaches his prime. And his prime is between like 28 and 33. Mm-hmm. And he already looks like this with a 2-time gold medalist and 3 division world champion.
370 something.
Yeah.
Amateur fights. Wins, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, I think in the rematch, Devin will definitely readjust a large amount, as well as me personally. I think Devin is going down that Mayweather route. This is a very controversial decision, and so many people hate him. And he posted on his Instagram, which he posted, "Hey man, he might be petty, but I'm for it." He put their undisputed villain.
Oh, okay. You know what? I mean, we'll see, because it's not very often you get a Mayweather,
Yeah, but the thing is, right? I'm not saying Mayweather in terms of his style and keeping that. Oh, I'm saying Mayweather in terms of how Mayweather was able to get so many people to hate him. And hey man, my thing is, hate drives sales, bro. People will want to watch you lose. And I think with this type of, controversial robbery, whatever type of decision you want to label this as, this puts that fuel under Devin as now one of the like hated people in boxing, because he won't, agree to him losing. He's just going to say he won, and people are going to hate him for it because they're going to blame him for robbing Lomachenko of a just win, when in reality, Devin had nothing to do with this. You blame the judges, bro. It ain't like Devin scored the fight, He was in
He's
there.
like, oh shoot, whoa, what round are we? Oh wait, shoot, it's my turn. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't understand how people were like so angry at Devin. I'm like, dude, boo at the judges. And to the person who threw a beer bottle at Devin Haney's team and hit his dad, shame on you. You should have thrown that at the judge, not at them. They were there fighting, and they were there getting their butts tapped by Loma. It's better to throw it at the judge who was sitting there and probably robbed you of your just victory.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't. Maybe the judges like hightail out of there once the. Have you seen the judges? That's exactly what happened. No, the judges are out of there by the time the results are out. So,
bro, don't throw it at the other fighter. Oh my goodness! Like I never understood that. Like I've been angry at decisions, but I never blamed the fighter for those decisions because, dog, they're in there also fighting. They could have got knocked out. They took punishment, dog. The person you should blame is the judges who are seating right next to the ring, scoring the fight. Like not only that, but I would put myself in that shoes, right? And Devin, and I got a victory that is controversial, right? Where a majority of people in the arena think I lost. I'm not gonna be on the mic saying, yeah, I deserve to lose. Hell no. I'll be like, yeah, that's right, I won. A dub's a dub. No matter how ugly or how pretty it is. A dub's a dub. 3-1, baby. 3. Yeah, but let us know what you guys think about the decisions. Do you agree that it was a robbery, or do you agree that it was a very close fight and that you could have swung the fight to either Lomachenko or Devin because of how close it was? Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below.